students, welcome back to the class once again, an online class. So today's class is once again for class 8 and we are going to discuss a very interesting poem, and the name of the poem is LOCHINVER. And who's the poet? He is one of the most celebrated poets of the English literature. That is none other than Sir Walter Scott. So, Sir Walter Scott was one of the poets who wrote poems of bravery, who wrote poems of patriotism, who wrote poems about heroes, who wrote poems about great knights. And Walter Scott is studied by students of English literature with great interest and enthusiasm. And today's poem, as I have just discussed, is LOCHINVER. Now, this is a ballad. You must know what a ballad is. A ballad is nothing but a story written in the form of a poem. It is nothing but a story that is written in the form of a poem. This is known as a ballad. There are hundreds of ballads in all languages, not only in English, but even in Hindi, in Sanskrit, in any other language. You name the language and you have the ballad. You have it. So, our topic of discussion today is this LOCHINVER. Who is this LOCHINVER? This man was a very brave soldier. This man was a very brave soldier, and you can call him as a knight. Who is a knight? A knight is a soldier with a heavy dress, an armor, a breastplate, and a steel helmet, and a long pointed sword, and decorated legs with steel, okay? And he has a horse to ride on. So the knight is a very brave soldier appointed by the king. That is the most important thing. The king has to appoint a knight. He has to call or pronounce the word knight to a person. And there is a big ceremony. So once he becomes a knight, he becomes a very important person. LOCHINVER is one such knight, a brave soldier. Now what happened to this LOCHINVER? LOCHINVER fell in love with a girl. This poem is a romantic poem, okay? And he fell in love with a girl, and the name of the girl was Ellen. The name of the girl was Ellen. Ellen was a very graceful girl, known for her beauty and charm. So LOCHINVER wanted to marry Ellen. But there was a problem in marrying this girl. What was the problem? The problem was that Ellen's father did not like LOCHINVER. Ellen's father did not want LOCHINVER to marry Ellen. In other words, he did not agree to the marriage of Ellen to LOCHINVER. So what happened? There was a kind of friction. There was an enmity between LOCHINVER and Ellen's father. That is his father-in-law. Now, Ellen's father had arranged another man for LOCHINVER. Ellen. Ellen's father had arranged another man as Ellen's husband, and he was to give Ellen in marriage to this man. LOCHINVER came to know that. He became very angry. He was furious. And LOCHINVER was staying in his own country, okay, in his kingdom. And Ellen's father, he was ruling another area. He was also a small king like. So now, on hearing the news that Ellen is going to be married to another man, LOCHINVER started riding his horse. He started galloping, and he came faster and faster and faster, crossing many streams, jumping over boulders, passing many small woods. And the way that he was traveling was filled with thorns and stones, pebbles, okay? But he did not bother about any barrier. All he wanted to was get to the palace of Ellen and ride straight into the palace, carry Ellen away and get married to her. That was his intention. So, What happened after that? That is very interesting. But we will see the stanza now. As I explain the lines, you will be getting an idea. Oh, young Lochinver has come out of the west. West means from the western part of that country. So, you have the directions. So, Lochinver was living in the western part of the country. Now, he has come to know that Ellen is going to be married to another man. So, his sweetheart would not belong to him anymore. Therefore, he wanted to kidnap, in a plain language, come to Ellen's palace, kidnap her and get married to her. Oh, young Lochinver has come out of the west. He has come out of the western direction. He's coming with his horse. Though through all the wide border, his steed was the best. I repeat the line. Through all the wide border, his steed was the best. Border, the area. Okay, the area between the land of Lochinver and the area that belonged to his father-in-law. Okay, so in the surrounding area, border can mean the area that surrounds his region. So in the whole area of Lochinver, his steed was the best. No one ever had a horse like Lochinver. The horse, steed means horse. Steed means a horse that is used for battle. Horses which are used for battles and wars, they are very strong and have a tremendous speed. As fast as the lightning they go. So his steed was the best. And in those days, the knights, they always galloped on horseback. They had their own horses, and the horses were well looked after. They were well fed. They were given a bath. They were brushed all the time. Right? And they were given good training. So his horse, that is, his steed was the best steed. And save his good broad sword, he weapons had none. Save here means except. So, Lochinver had no weapons. He had only one weapon, and that weapon is the sword. A good broad sword. He had a good and a broad sword. A knight is identified by his sword. If you look into pictures, if you look at pictures of the knights of the olden times, of the medieval times, you will know that they are heavily armed, in the sense their dress is made of steel. Steel helmet, steel breastplate, steel coverings for the leg. And even the shoes were made of steel. And by wearing this dress, which was made of metal, they got onto the horse with a heavy and a long sword. They were meant for fighting. So, and save his good broadsword, he weapons had none. Lochinver did not have any other weapon except for the long broadsword. He rode all unarmed. Nobody was there to accompany him. He had no soldiers coming along with him. He was the only one. He was a daring soldier, a daring knight, okay, and very smart, okay, brave and handsome as well, impressive. He rode all unarmed and he rode all alone. Nobody accompanied him and no weapons except for the sword. So you can understand Lochinver was a very brave man. So faithful in love. This line is very important. It's a punchline. Okay, so faithful in love. So, what was the nature of Lochinver? Lochinver was a man who was sincere in his love. He loved Ellen, and his love was a true love, genuine love. So, he didn't want to disappoint her. He made a promise and he wanted to keep the promise. That is the meaning of the word or this expression. Faithful in love. If I marry, I'll marry only Ellen, not anybody else. That was his promise. That was his resolution. So faithful in love. So dauntless in war. Dauntless. What is the meaning? Fearless. He was a fearless soldier when it came to fighting the enemy. Okay. He swished his sword with such speed that heads fell off in a fraction of a second. When he swayed his sword, heads rolled down. With the speed of lightning, he cut off their heads. And he rode with the speed of lightning when he sat on his horse. So, He is dauntless in war, courageous and fearless when it comes to killing people or enemies or fighting with them. There never was a knight like the young Lochinver. So the last line sums up the entire what you call stanza. There was never a knight like the young Lochinver. There never was a knight like the young Lochinver. So the poet says, of all the knights that were there in that region, Lochinver was the best, the bravest, the boldest, the smartest, the most handsome. So, you see, when you read Walter Scott's poems, they are very musical and every line is inspirational. It makes you think of what he's talking about. He picturizes the whole scene. I repeat these lines once again. Oh, young Lochinver has come out of the west. Lochinver has come out from his house. Why has he come out? He has come out to save Ellen. And why should he save Ellen? Because he loved Ellen and Ellen was going to get married to some other man. So in order to get married to Ellen, he came out. Through all the wide border, his steed was the best. There were many horses in that area. Many horses in the region. But whose was the best? Undoubtedly, Lochinver's was the best. And save his good broadsword, he weapons had none. So he had only one weapon. He had only one weapon, that is his sword. And his sword was a broadsword, a sword used by the knights in battle. And other than the sword, there wasn't anything. He rode all unarmed. He had no weapons with him, unarmed, except for the sword. And he rode all alone. He was a single man to ride. Nobody accompanied him. No friends, no soldiers. So faithful in love, so dauntless in war. He was faithful to his wife, would-be wife, his fiancée, or his sweetheart, that is Ellen. His love was faithful. Okay? So dauntless in war. He was courageous. The bravest man, the bravest knight whoever lived at that time or in those times. There never was a knight like the young Lochinver. No knight had ever been like Lochinver. No one would be compared or could be compared to the brave knight that is Lochinver. You see, when you read it, there is music. Oh, young Lochinver has come out of the west. Through all the wide border, his steed was the best. And save his good broadsword, he weapons and none. He rode all unarmed and he rode all alone. So faithful in love, so dauntless in war, there never was a knight like the young Lochinver. So did you feel the music? That is what Walter Scott is. When he writes with music, and they're all very inspiring lines. So we have discussed just one stanza from the poem, that's Lochinver. There are many other stanzas. It's an interesting poem, an interesting story. We will discuss the rest of the stanzas in the forthcoming classes. So till then, keep reading this poem and go through all the difficult words because they are all old words, archaic words. Some of them are not in use today. But still you have to know the meaning so that you can have a clear understanding of the poem. So with this we wind up. Stay safe. Continue reading, work hard, and I wish you all the best.